I'm Cecilia Dowdy. I'm an inspirational romance author, and I love baking and I love sweets. Due to a video that went somewhat viral on TikTok a while ago, a man was talking about going out on a date with someone named Cecilia, at a bakery, the Magnolia bakery, and how she couldn't eat sweets but liked to watch her dates eat sweets. And she seemed to have this fetish for this. A lot of people thought the person was me because I had done a TikTok about the Magnolia Bakery cookbook. So, but it's not me. But due to the buzz from that, I decided to go through and uh, uh, make each recipe from this cookbook from start to finish, from the beginning of the book till the end. So I've started doing that, and I wanted to critique the next recipe. As I always do when I talk about other people's books, give mine a try, the Bakery Romance series. So if you like bakeries and sweets, you'll love my books. They're clean, wholesome, wonderful stories, and they will keep you entertained. So this is just two of the titles. The entire Bakery Romance series is 8 books. So I'm just holding up 2 of them, but there's 8 books in total, and I'll leave the link for those in the comments. But the recipe that I made recently, I'm on page 24 of this cookbook. It's the dried cherry crumb buns. And I have a lot to say about this recipe. Number 1, the recipe itself was very good. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. They're very tasty. I like the dried cherries. That's not something I really purchase very much. Usually if I do dried fruit, I'll do raisins or something. But the dried cherries were nice and sweet. They were good. But the recipe calls for 16 large muffin cups. I didn't have large muffin cups. I had the regular size muffin cup. It's kind of like similar to like the size of a cupcake. So that's what I had on hand. That's what I used because I wasn't buying a large muffin cup just to make this recipe. I made a dozen buns. So I filled each of the cupcake holders with the batter from this, but I didn't have any nonstick spray. So what I did, I just took some butter and buttered the pans, and then I made the batter, and then I put it into the cupcake the little cupcake holes. So there was 12 of them. I probably should have done 18 because I had two muffin pans, but I only used one. So I had enough to make 24. So I probably should have did like maybe 18 because after I did the topping, I made the topping for these dried cherry crumb buns. And this happened with another recipe from the Magnolia Bakery cookbook. The topping, this cookbook, at least for 2 of the recipes, the crumb topping, when you make it, it's too much. Like when I looked at how much butter and many crumbs you needed, like you needed like a whole cup of butter for the topping and 2 1/4 cups of flour. That's a lot for like 12 or even 18 buns because it was too much. I didn't make the full amount because I kind of remembered when I made one of the other recipes. I believe it was a pie. It might have been, I think it was a berry pie, either blueberry, blackberry, or something. There was a pie recipe in here that I made a while ago. There was too much topping. So I could tell that this was going to be too much. So I cut it in half. But even when I cut it in half, it still was too much. I have a container of this crumb topping in my refrigerator right now. I don't know what to do with it. So I made half of the crumb topping, used up some of it. I spread it on top of all the muffins. What I did not like about it was when I put the when I put the buns in the oven, when they were done, the crumb topping wasn't like crumbs. It was like, it kind of melted. So it's like a hard coating. Because a lot of times when I see a muffin or kind of like when you see like or when you see a crumb bar or a crumb coffee cake, you see the actual crumbs on top. For me, it didn't turn out that way. You put the crumbs on there before you put it in the oven, and then you bake it for 20 to 25 minutes. And when I pulled it out, you don't see crumbs on top. It kind of melted on top of the buns, and then that topping also, it got on my oven. It, like, I had to like actually clean out my oven. It was like it got all onto my. I have a pizza stone at the bottom of my oven. I keep it there because it's heavy to take it out every time. I just wipe it down. It went onto my pizza stone. It went to the bottom of my oven. Went all over the place, and it wasn't even that much crumb topping. It was like I used like I cut it in half, and then out of the half, I might have only used a half of it. So I didn't like that. And then I couldn't get them out of the muffin tins. So when I tried to take the buns out, they stuck. Now, again, I did not have the nonstick spray. I had run out and I hadn't replenished. So I used butter instead, but that didn't seem to work because they were so stuck. And the topping, like I said, it kind of melted everywhere. It was this hard coating. I had the worst time getting it out of the muffin tins. I don't even want to post a picture. It just looks so bad. And the cherries, they were good, but they seemed to clump up. The recipe didn't tell you to coat the cherries with anything, so I didn't. But a lot of times, if you're using dried fruit, like raisins or cherries, any kind of dried fruit in a recipe, especially if you're baking, usually the recipe will tell you to coat the dried fruit with like maybe some flour or some sugar so it doesn't settle at the bottom. And I think I've made another recipe in here where they tell you to coat it with flour. But with this recipe, I don't believe they told you to do that. I don't think they did. They just said to put the dried cherries in last and stir them in. Normally you're going to have to coat those with something. And you didn't, because they kind of clumped together at the bottom of some of the buns. But in spite of all that, the muffins were really good. Would I make this recipe again? I don't know, because it made a mess in my oven, and I don't have the large muffin pan for it. So that might have made a difference if I had that. They were very good, but I don't know if I want to go through the trouble, because I would have to make a note of all the things I'm going to have to do to alter the recipe. And they need to change the topping. The topping is too much topping. But otherwise, they were fine. But I would have to redo the recipe so that you actually have a crumb topping on top and the cherries don't bunch together. I would have to coat them with flour or sugar and make sure I have the cooking spray so that they don't stick into the pan. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention about this recipe. Another thing that I think might have helped them not to stick as much. If I had the nonstick spray it on the pan itself into each of the muffin cups, and then take, those things that they use for cupcakes, those little cupcake papers, put one of those in all the muffin cups, and then spray the top of that, then put the batter in. That might have helped to get them out of the pan. I don't know what to say about that topping. I don't know how to make the topping so that it doesn't melt like that. So I'm not sure what I did, why that happened, but it happened. So anyway, it's a decent enough recipe. It tasted good. We ate it with some eggs and bacon. So if you tried this recipe or any of the recipes in this cookbook, I'd like for you to tell me about them. And before I sign off, I wanted to again remind you to check out my bakery romance series. They're romance novels, each with a bakery setting. If you like food and cooking and desserts, you'll love my books, because all the books feature a bakery theme, and I talk about food a lot in the books. Mostly sweets, but I talk about other foods as well, so you will enjoy them. So check them out, and if you know any friends or family who like to read, check out the Bakery Romance series. Again, it's 8 books, and they're all clean, wholesome reading. So check them out and buy them as a gift for like Christmas or something for your friends and family. Thanks, and have a great day.